Hello you guys. So we're going to be doing another paint along this Sunday, and we're going to be doing this cupcake painting, which I thought was so adorable. So we are going to be painting this today on our canvas, and you can be painting on any size canvas that you wish. I have a 14 by 14 canvas right now, and I'm going to be painting on that. But if you have a smaller canvas, 11 by 14, or if you go bigger, 16 by 20, go for it. Really, any size canvas will do. And so this is our inspiration photo. So we're going to put that up here for us to look at. And we need some brushes. So we need a round brush. So this is a size 8 round brush here. And we have a size 8 square. So that is what we're going to be using today. And we are using acrylic paints. So we have those here. And you can see my plate is a little messy, but we have blue, red, yellow. We have some white here. And then we might use a tiny bit of black, but we'll wait and see about that. And make sure you have a paper plate, which is going to be called our palette, and also paper towels, and also a water container, okay, because we're going to be washing our brushes out in that, and also a pencil, okay, because we're going to be sketching out the cupcake on our canvas. I'm going to be using a Sharpie, so that way you can see it nice and clearly on the canvas, so we can paint along and draw along all at the same time, step by step, for around about an hour. We're going to be working on this cupcake painting. So again, just review, make sure you have all the primary colors on your palette. So here you can see my example. And so we have the red, yellow, blue, some white on here. And we got our paper plate, paper towel, water container, 2 brushes. I like having a round and a square. These are both size 8 brushes, but really anything you have on hand is perfect. And I'm going to be using a Sharpie to draw this out. Okay, so cupcake painting, paint along, here we go. So we're going to go ahead and bring our focus in a little bit. Alright, so let's go ahead and get your pencil so we can get started here. Here we go, let's go ahead. We're going to start off with our sketch, okay? So get your pencil and we're going to start off with the bottom portion of our cupcake. So we need to make it kind of like a square shape, but the sides are going to go in, okay? So start off with a line. So find the center of your canvas. So it's going to be right about here. And that is where we are going to put a line straight across like that, okay? So that line is going to be the top line of our cupcake paper piece. So once you have a straight line there, and it's about, what is that, almost as long as my hand. Then you're going to go ahead and go to the outermost corner here and here. And we're going to go ahead and draw a line that's going to go, instead of straight down, it's going to go a little bit in. And this video will be available to you after the live class on Facebook, and it will be posted on my YouTube channel, which is Wilhelmina Art Studio. So once you've done a straight line here for the ruffle part of our cupcake wrapper, then we're going to go ahead and do a dot and a dot, and then we're going to do some diagonals kind of pitched in here and here for our cupcake on the sides. So we're going to go about there on the right side and go in on the the other side. So about like that, okay? And we wanna make sure, try and make them as equal as possible for how long they are. There we go. And then we're gonna do a bottom, but instead of going straight across, we're gonna do a little bit of a curve, okay? So let's go ahead and let's do a little dot here and here on the outermost point. There we go. Then we're gonna go ahead and curve the bottom. Like this, almost like a smiley face. So curve there, okay? And you know what? Let's do a tiny bit of a curve up here too. So don't worry about the straight line. We're just gonna do a little gentle curve, not as severe as the bottom. Just a little bit. There we go. More of a smirk. There. Wonderful. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this kind of lumpy shape for the top of our cupcake so it has lots of frosting on it. So we're gonna go ahead, go to the outermost point again, here and here. And we are gonna continue up like this. We're gonna go curve, up, 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 like that. So if you can see, I just kind of did a dotted line, and then I'm gonna do a dotted line over here. So kind of curving in like this, like parentheses on either side, like that. So I'm gonna darken that up so you can see what I'm doing. There and there. Curve and curve. And we want it to be a little lopsided, so that way it looks like the frosting's all organic and kind of gonna come off the side of our cupcake because there's so much on it. Okay, so once you have these curves and they're not the same, now we're gonna go ahead and bring this one up and in like that. So go from the curve, go up a little bit and then down and then stop. Now you're gonna go ahead and go a little bit in from this round lump here. So start about right here. And we're gonna go ahead and curve again, a little bit smaller curve, there. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and do another curve right here. And we're gonna do smaller, like that. Now you're gonna go ahead from this point here that we just stopped at, you're gonna do a little swish. So you're gonna go here and curve, like that. Now let's keep going on this side. So now we're gonna go right here, and we're gonna curve again, and it's gonna go up and then in a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna do that again. So you're gonna start here, then you're gonna go curve like a C shape. So we're gonna do a C, and then you're gonna curve it a little bit more. So it's like a little fancy C. So we're gonna go here, curve, and then in, like that. Now let's leave that there. Let's go over onto this side. Now you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna bring this curve here up a little higher. Okay, so we just brought it up a little bit higher. Then we're gonna go ahead and go down, and then you're gonna meet up to that point there and go like that. There we go. And we can make this maybe a little bit bigger, but for right now, it's a good start. And then once you have, let's go over what we just did. So we had a curve here, and then we extended it further, 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 went down a little bit, in, and then up, and then connected to the point right there. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put a little cherry on top. So let's put this cherry right here. So we're gonna do a partial circle, so that way it looks like it's kind of set in on our cupcake here, and let's connect those two parentheses together like that. And then we need to put the stem in. So we're gonna go a little bit into the circle, not right here, not right on this line, because otherwise it's gonna look very flat. So go a little bit into the circle, about there, and then up and over for the stem. How cute is that already? And don't worry about this line. We'll get rid of this line here because we'll paint this all in with frosting. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's create a little bit of a ground for our cupcake, because the photo that is our inspiration, it is very floating-esque, the cupcake, like it's in outer space. And I want it to look like it's on the table. So let's add a little bit of a horizon line, so that way it looks like our cupcake is on the table just waiting for us to take a bite out of it. So we're gonna go ahead and put a horizon line right about here. So about a little less than halfway on our cupcake sides. So we're gonna do a line here and then go across, skip over, and over onto the other side there. There we go. I like that much better. It just kind of gives it some space so we know where it's at, this cupcake. Okay, you guys, and then we'll put sprinkles and all the details, but right now we got the general shape. We have a nice 3D bottom for our cupcake, and the top is nice and lumpy and delicious looking. We've got a cherry, and we have a horizon, which just separates the above, the sky, or the air area, and then the ground area, which is gonna be a table. So let's go ahead and let's get started painting. So put your pencil off to the side. You're gonna go ahead and grab your round brush. If you have a round brush, something like that, mine is the size 8. Yours can be, though, any medium size works well. And let's go in and let's put the background in for the first layer. And we're gonna do some blues. Okay, so I have this primary blue right here. That is what I am going to use for my first layer, and I might add just a little bit of white into it to add a tint. So a tint is just lighter. So we're gonna go ahead and just add a little bit of white, just a little. And then I'm gonna put it into my blue onto the side. I don't wanna put it into the whole blue, because then my whole blue will turn light blue. I just wanna have the corner of it, because maybe I'll need the dark blue later on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and swirl that together. And so this is gonna be my background color. Now your background, though, can be any color that you wish, okay? You don't have to stick with the blue. You can make it pink, orange, lime green, it's up to you. I'm just picking blue right now because I think that will look nice, because I definitely wanna have pink frosting. So we're gonna go ahead and with our round brush, I'm just gonna start very carefully. I'm kind of working out here further. See that? I'm not even close to the edge. I like to do that because then I can kind of walk my brush closer, 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 and then to the edge. It just gives me a little bit more control with the tip of the brush. If I were just to go whoop and then go right along there, it's more likely you're gonna have little accidents that happen. So make sure your brush is a little bit further away from the line, and then just walk it up to the edge carefully, kind of wiggling it up to the edge. That way then you're just a little bit more careful, and you can just wiggle the brush into the places that you want it to go. So we're just gonna go ahead, go around our shape. And once I go around a little bit, then I'm gonna just go ahead and scumble. And scumble is just dragging your brush that doesn't have much paint on it out and around on your canvas. There we go. I'm just gonna load up again with the same color, and I'm just gonna continue carefully going along that edge, walking up to the outline, bringing that brush very close to the edge, and then filling in a little bit. And just careful around that stem here. There we go. Make sure your hand is about midway on your paintbrush handle. We don't want to get too close to that ferrule, which is the metal part. Make sure about midway, around there, a little bit further back is always nice too. All right, we're just going to keep going around this cupcake. Oops, got a little carried away there. See that? That is impatience you just saw there. So you have to be patient, and it's okay. We can just kind of smooth that out. I'm just mixing up a little bit more, and it's okay if the color isn't exact. Oh, hello, Susan. Thank you. I'm glad you'll do this one as well. I'm so happy with how your fall scene turned out. I'm glad you shared that on the comment section in the last paint along we did. It was awesome. Very good perspective, nice colors. It was such a pretty scene to paint. And if you want, anyone watching wants to paint a fall scene, definitely check it out on the Facebook page or on YouTube, and you can do all those paint alongs that I have on there, and they're fun to do by yourself if you're late at night and you just want some me time, or you want to do it with the family. Very fun, and they're ready to go for all skill levels. Okay, I'm running out of paint super fast here, so I'm going to mix up even more of this color. And I'm just going to go ahead, nice big strokes, and fill in this background for this first coat. And I like to do all different directions. Go all the way to your horizon line, or the tabletop, which is our horizon. There we go. So we're just filling in this whole background, and I'm going to add a little bit of white to my blue in this area here. So it's just a little lighter, and then I'm going to add some other colors into it once I get this all filled in. I think this painting of the cupcake would look so cute in your kitchen. Just add some fun, color, and cheerfulness, because who doesn't like cupcakes, really? I mean, come on. And if you haven't yet, please go to my YouTube channel, Wilhelmina Art Studio, and check it out. Have drawing, draw-alongs, paint-alongs. And then I have a section which I'm slowly adding to, which is just my daily life that's going on at the studio, and just all things happening just around in my life. So lots of art, lots of painting, and lots of silliness. All right, I officially ran out of all my blue, so I need to fill up on more blue to finish filling in this background. There we go. And I'm just bringing some of that darker blue into the lighter blue, and it's still wet, the light blue, so you can see it's just all mushing together right on the surface. And that is one of my favorite parts of painting, is when the paint is all wet. And then you're just working with what you have on the surface and just blending it all together and having all these interesting strokes of paint on the surface. There we go, just gonna add a few more strokes here and there. There we go. Okay, so we got our main color down. Going a little bit on top of the first few strokes that we did, because it's already pretty dry. That's what's great with the acrylic paint, is it dries so fast you can just keep on layering on top. There we go. Beautiful, I love that. So now I'm gonna go in and add some fun colors. So I'm gonna put in some purples, and I'm thinking I might even put in a little pink right now. So I'm gonna go and keep my brush dirty. And I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of red and some blue to get a really nice purple, but I wanted a little bit more violet, so I'm gonna put more red on my brush. And I'm gonna add a little bit of white. So a tint of purple, and beautiful. I'm gonna add a little bit more white so you can see that. There we go. So I'm gonna take some of this purple, and I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna put in some marks here and there in the background. And then my background is still pretty wet, so I can do a few strokes and it will just kind of blend in to the blue background. So it's more subtle. Just a few strokes here and there of some purple. And I'm gonna put a few down here. There we go. And now I'm gonna go in, keeping my brush dirty with the purple. I'm just gonna go in with more blue. I'm just gonna go right on top of the purple, just to blend that in. So we have lots of paint on the canvas right now. There we go. So I love going back and forth with the colors. So we first put down blue, then I added a little bit of white to it, then added a little bit more blue on top of the first layer of blue, and now a little bit of purple, and then back in with the blue. So lots of layering is happening here in this background. Really pretty. I think I'm going to add a little bit more light blue here. There we go. And I like seeing these paintbrush strokes here. I want to have more of that over here. There we go. Oh, hello, Kathy. Thanks for joining. Excellent. So we're gonna let that dry and then we can add more bright colors on top, but right now, we're gonna let it be. I'm gonna wash my round brush out really good. Make sure you get all that paint out of your brush, especially if the paint is in the furrow, which is right here. Make sure all that paint is out. Wonderful. Good job. Okay, let's go ahead and let's paint now the table. Now the table could have fabric on it because it could have a table covering. It could just be a wood table. So lots of options. I think I'm gonna just stick with a wood table. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna mix up brown. So how to mix brown is you're gonna take your primary colors and mix them together. I like to start off with orange. Okay, so you're gonna mix the primaries, the red and yellow together to get orange. Then I mix in the blue. So that's how I like to do it in that order. You could just take a pile of yellow, pile of red, and a pile of blue and mix it, but I find that getting the orange the way you want the orange to be first helps when you mix in the blue. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the yellow first. And I'm gonna need quite a bit because look at all that space there. So yellow first, then a little red. Remember, less red because the red is more powerful. So we're gonna swirl that together and then we're gonna add a little blue. So just a tiny bit. Okay, and I'm getting a little bit more green here. So we need to then add more red. Okay, I'm gonna add a bit of blue. There you go, it's kind of a sandy color, so I think you get a little bit more red. Oh, maybe a little bit more. So you're kind of going back and forth between the red and the blue to get it darker. There we go. And if your paint's getting sticky, just add a little water to your brush and then swirl it into your paint, and that will make it a little smoother. Okay, so I'm happy with that brown. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to apply the brown onto the table here. I want there though to be a bit of a cast shadow. Okay, so cast shadow is the shadow that your object puts onto the table. So I want to have that because it's already looking very 3D and I love that. So I want to portray that 3D-ness even more, and I want the cast shadow to come out a little bit. Right, and a little bit off to the side too. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just do a line that's going to go about here, like that. And I'm going to do a line from this corner of the bottom, and that's going to come out as well. About like that. Okay, so then that way our cupcake has a little bit of shadow, and then we can have it kind of round out a little bit, so then that way it looks like it's the little bit of the roundness of the top that's being cast down too onto the table. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and let's fill in on this side and all over here and all over here with the brown. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more water to my brush because my paint is getting very sticky. Okay, so just nice and smooth application of our paint for this table. Make sure you go all the way up to the horizon. We don't want to have a white line there. Okay, and I ran out of my brown, so I need to go ahead. More yellow. little red, swirl together, then some blue, there we go. We're in business again. It's okay, you can see my brown is a little different, but that's all right. Just add a little water to my brown. I'm still using my round brush. There we go. There we go, you guys. There you got a table. It looks awesome. I think I need to do is just add a tiny bit more. Painting from the side angle always makes it hard to see when it's level, so I think this has to go up a little bit more on this side, just a straight line. There we go. I think that's a little better. Wonderful. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's put our first coat of paint in the wrapper for our cupcake. So we're gonna just go ahead and do a bright yellow. So wash that round brush out really good. You don't want any brown left on that brush. And then you're gonna go into your yellow, which I have a really bright yellow here. And we're gonna go ahead and coat the whole wrapper of our cupcake in the yellow. And then we'll add some oranges and some whites so we can have that kind of bendy wrapper look to it. All right, and just make sure our strokes, we're kind of going at a diagonal here and here. And then it's gonna be a straight line in the center. And then they're gonna angle this way. And then they're gonna angle this way. Does that make sense? So there you go. So you're gonna be this direction, center, and then this direction. So that way we're still going with that 3D effect. And just gonna take that yellow. And it's okay if you get a little brown into the yellow from the table. I'm just gonna go along this curved edge. There we go. And then we're gonna go ahead along this top curve with our yellow. And we're just gonna go along the edge. There we go. Okay, and I still have a few white areas, and that's okay, because what I can do is I can go with a little bit of orange. So let's mix up a tiny bit of orange into our yellow. There we go, and so we're gonna go ahead on this edge, we're gonna add the orange. on the bottom. And then we can go ahead and do a few lines. So center straight, and then you're gonna go out, like so. And then once you have the orange marks on there, what we're gonna do is wash our brush out. We're gonna go back into the yellow, and then we're gonna blend in the orange really quickly because, like we said, the acrylics dry very fast, so you have to do everything right on the spot. So clean brush, yellow paint, and let's go over the top of the orange. Just do back and forth 4 or 5 times, and then you can see it just starts to blend. Isn't that pretty? So we're going to continue with that. So go on top of the orange, back and forth, and then move along. Go to the next one, and then stop. There we go. So now we have a nice wrapper. Now we're going to add some white to the yellow section so it really pops out at us. So keep your brush dirty with the yellow, and let's go into some white. And we're just going to go ahead and just drag our brush. So make sure your hand is further back on your brush, and we're going to drag the brush up. So start at the base and then drag up, lift. We're going to do that again. Load up with a little bit more white. So again, space, at the base, drag up and lift. And again, bottom and up, so that's straight. Now we're gonna start to angle a little bit. So we're gonna go at the base and drag up, and again, and up. There we go. I think we could add another small one here and a small one on either side of the center line. There we go. See, notice how it's so much more 3D looking. So let's go over what we just did. So we did a yellow color first. We started off to the side, then center, and then off to the side. Then we had remaining white spaces from the canvas. Then we went in with some orange, did the strokes in that same way, angle, straight, angle. Then cleaned our brush really quick, added more yellow to our brush, and then went over 4 to 5 times, stroke, stroke, stroke on top of the orange to blend it. Did that over all of it. Then we took some white with a clean brush and dragged the white lines on top of the yellow and the orange, spacing it out. So now we have 3 values. We have a light, which was the yellow, a little bit darker, which is the orange, and then the even lighter highlight of the white. So that adds dimension to our wrapper of our cupcake. So wash your brush out, and we're gonna keep working with the round, and we're gonna go ahead and put in our first coat of paint in this nice frosting swirly section here. But we are going to need some white also to put in some of the highlights so we don't lose this line, because if we were to fill the whole thing in pink, then we would lose these interesting lines that we drew in, so we don't want to lose those. So let's go ahead and first put some red on our brush, and this red has a really nice, when you put it on thinly, a kind of pink magenta, so it's really a nice color. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to use this straight from the bottle red here, and I'm just going to apply it very thinly for this first layer, and you can see the more thinly you apply it, the pinker it looks. And that's just allowing the canvas to come through more, so that's why it's a little bit lighter. So again, careful along those edges and then work your way to the edge. Don't just start right on the edge. Just wiggle that brush so you meet up to the blue outline of the background. Okay, so we're getting closer to this area here. So get a little white on your dirty red brush. And so we're just gonna go ahead and just add a little bit of white in this area here. So right in this area in the center, so kind of like an oval shape. And then let's make this right here a little bit lighter. So we're going to kind of curve this up. Like that. There we go. So curve, fill that in, get that lighter pink. Okay, I'm gonna go in back with my red, my pure red, even though my brush is dirty, that's okay with the white. I'm gonna go back into that red, and now we can go along this edge here where that line is, because that's gonna stay dark in the shadow of the frosting. There, and then we're also gonna have a little bit of darkness up here on this side. There we go, and let's do it again. Over here where we have this line, we're gonna make that really dark on the top part of that line. So go above the line and just run your brush along that edge and then go up onto the swirl on the left side. That's all gonna be dark in there. And then this remaining area in here and here, we're just gonna fill that in light, and then we can go in and add more detail. So keep your brush dirty. With the red, add more white to your brush. And then let's do a light pink in this whole section here. That is the exposed canvas. So just carefully meet up to that line. There we go. Now we're gonna go ahead with this still light pink on our brush. Let's go ahead and we're gonna make this now a little bit more organic looking, because right now it's very kind of blocky, so we need to soften it up. Now that we have all the shapes down, we can do that. So now this area right here is going to be pretty light along this edge here. So just a little swipe. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make this area right in here. We're gonna go ahead and make this, let's see, let's go here. And kind of a curve there. Getting all the way up to the edge. There we go. And just bringing some of that lightness into the dark there. And let's go ahead and we're just gonna bring these up into each other just a little bit. So this is gonna come up. There we go. So just kind of did a little bit of like a hairpin turn there. And then having that flow into this lighter area here. There we go. Beautiful, it's coming along. So now let's get a little bit more white on our brush, and we want this area here to be nice and bright. So we're just gonna do a little section here. Like that. And then we're gonna add just a little bit of darkness under this area here. So I'm gonna wash my brush out, add some of that red, and I'm just gonna add a tiny bit more darkness in this shape here. And then I'm just gonna kind of sneak it up a little bit, and then going a little bit into here too. Get this a bit darker under the shape that we just created. So you need a little bit more contrast in there. So we're gonna have a curved line there like that. There we go, that helped a lot. And then we're gonna add a little bit more of a shadow under here. So right along this edge, we need that to be the dark red. And let's have it curl up a little bit over on this side. And a little bit over here, just up the side. There we go. Now let's make a little bit darker in the inside of this little swirl. Beautiful, look at that. Okay, so now let's go ahead with the dark. We're just gonna soften now. So we have a dark red, or just the plain red from the tube. And I'm just gonna walk it along this edge that was really sharp. I'm just gonna soften it. So just kind of stroke back and forth a little bit. Soften that up. So it's more natural looking. Okay, and then let's just go ahead and let's soften this area too. So just kind of going into the light and then going back in with the light. There we go. And let's make this a little bit lighter right here. This is really going to help us get that contrast. There we go. This looks so yummy. I want to make cupcakes now. There we go. I think I need a little bit more of the darker red. So we're constantly going back and forth, light, dark, smushing it, getting it to be a little bit more natural looking, and then putting in more darks. So I'm just adding a little bit more darkness here on that edge. Okay, let's stop there with the frosting. And we're gonna wash our brush out really good. And then let's go back into, oh, let's see here. Let's take a break from this area. We'll get to the cherry, but let's go ahead and put the cast shadow in. Okay, so remember, just cast shadow is the shadow the object casts onto the table. So we're gonna go ahead and make that a cool color. So it could be purple, blue, and then we'll add a little brown on top of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of some purple. So I'm gonna get some red mixed up with a little blue. And then we're just gonna go ahead and fill this shape in, like that. And we're just gonna go ahead and get this a nice cool shadow. And then we wanna make sure is that our cast shadow goes all the way to the corner, outside corner edge of the cupcake, because otherwise if you do it short, it's not gonna correlate. It's not gonna go with this cupcake here. The cast shadow is gonna look like it's for a cast shadow for a different object. So we're just gonna go ahead, careful along this edge, you guys, really careful. We did such a good job drawing and painting this cupcake wrapper. There we go. And then you can just go ahead and outer corner on the other side and bring that out like that. There we go. Okay, so now we're gonna add some brown. So remember, we make brown with the primary colors, so we need to get some yellow, some red mixed up first. I like to do that. Then a little blue. And then once you get your brown mixture, we're just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of that brown on top of the purple right away, because we don't want it to just be the purple, because then it's just gonna be really jarring. But the purple is still wet, which is perfect, because we can just drop in a little bit of the brown on top of the purple and it will just look more natural. There you go. So I'm just taking that brown along this edge just to soften that a little bit more. Beautiful. Now we have a nice subtle cast shadow. Now let's go ahead and wash your brush out and let's fill in this cherry. So we're gonna go into our nice red color. And let's fill that cherry in completely with the red first. There we go, and then we're just gonna add that red into the stem. And just make sure your hand's further back on your brush, so that way you don't have such a heavy hand. Just nice light pressure on your brush. And then just slowly fill that in. There we go. Okay, so now after doing everything, now the cherry looks too flat. So we need to add some dimension to that as well. So what we're going to do is add just a little bit of white with a clean brush. And we're just gonna do a little swipe right here on the left side there, and a little bit of swipe on the stem. Just drag your brush on there. Now what I'm gonna do, my brush now has white and a bit of red on there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna wash it off and dry it off. Then with a completely clean brush, I have it on pretty thick, so I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just going to blend the edges of that dash out into the red of the cherry. Just a little bit, so the center stays the same, and I'm just bringing out a little bit of the white onto the entire cherry. So what I'm gonna do is add just a tiny bit more white over on this side, just a little curve. And then again, if that's too bright, so wash your brush out, dry it off just a little bit, and then clean brush, and then just go ahead and kind of brush along the edge of that white, and so it will just softly incorporate into the cherry color. And so that way it's just a nice soft look to the cherry of the light hitting it. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and let's mix up a tiny bit of purple. I still have a little left, so you don't need a whole lot, just a little bit on the tip of your brush, and we just need to add a little bit of a shadow under here on the cherry. So I'm just gonna dab in a little bit on the edge, like that. Excuse me. And a little darkness on where it is attached on the cherry, the stem. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna wash the brush out. Our cherry is complete. Now let's go ahead and let's add some sprinkles onto our cupcake. So let's go ahead and do some dashes with, you could use the round brush. If you have a smaller brush, you could go ahead and continue with that. Either one works. I'm gonna go in with just some plain white first. I'm gonna have some white sprinkles. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just do little dashes. Again, make sure very light pressure, just drag the bristles on the painting very lightly. You get some short, some long sprinkles. There we go. And then I'm gonna add some blue sprinkles. Oh, look at that. That just really ties it together. Just random on your cupcake. Now I'm gonna go in with a little bit of some orange, kind of yellowy orange. And I might have to add a little white to it so it shows up. Add a little dash here and there. Oh, that's nice. That ties in the wrapper color. So pick the colors that you already have on your canvas, and then maybe one surprise color. There we go. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, so I think for the background, I just want to add a few little colors, kind of like sprinkles in the background. So I'm just gonna go ahead, and this is optional, but I'm gonna add a little bit of pink in the background. So I'm just gonna add some red, a little white, and I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna add just a little tiny dots and dashes into the background. There we go. Just very subtle. There we go. Oh, that's so cute. Beautiful. Excellent work, you guys. You know what? Let's do 2 more things before we are all done with this paint along. We're gonna add a little bit more of this pink. I can't resist, and I'm gonna add just a little drag of some pink into the wrapper. Oh, that's exactly what it needed. Just a few drags, and I didn't re-dip my brush. Just with one little bit of paint, just kept dragging it in between just to incorporate more of that pink throughout. That's exactly what this painting needed. Excellent. So let's go ahead and pick a color, and we are going to sign our name. I always like to do my initials in the bottom, either right or left corner. There we go. Wonderful job, you guys. This was such a fun paint along. So please, if you have done this painting with me, take a picture and post it in the comment section when I upload this video onto Facebook. And this video will also be available on YouTube later today. I will upload it. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you did paint along with me, thank you so much. And if you're able, and only if you're able, if you could donate, make a donation to my Venmo, which is Willow G3. So Willow G3, and I'm wearing a black beret hat in my profile picture. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for joining me on today's paint along. Have an awesome day, and an artful one too.